Welcome to this week's Who's the Champ? I am your host, Chris Helms, and you know the one thing great about being in Charleston is Major League Wrestling making its debut here almost a year ago. They announced that almost a year ago that they were making Charleston their home, and so many things have happened since they made that announcement. You know, two great shows have already happened. And we're going to talk about one of them today. But let's bring back in one of our old friends of the show, the owner and CEO of Major League Wrestling, Court Bauer. What a little dude. Last time I saw you, you had the beard. Now it's gone, cleaned up a little bit.
I know, I cleaned up this summer. New look, new era.
There you go. So, you know, we got so much to talk about today. But if people haven't recently seen, MLW has made its return back with Fusion. And wow, the things that have happened with Fusion, especially the Charleston show that was here.
Yeah.
So many great things have happened. So since y'all brought Fusion back, how's it been for you since you've had it come back?
I love it. I love producing weekly TV. I think for the fans, having something every week to tune into, they see more action, they see more stars from around the world, and they see here in Charleston a little bit of Charleston, whether it's the Good Brothers brawling down the street, King Street, or Kojima using the learning tree, which is an actual tree right off of King Street, where he taught Kozone the lariat and kept hitting that lariat against that tree. If you're driving by or walking by, you might see two wrestlers just banging on a tree trying to perfect a clothesline. You never know what you're going to see here in Charleston with MLW now.
Well, you brought up two great names that I was going to talk about.
Yeah.
First off, let's talk about one of the greatest MLW World Heavyweight Champions and Kojima.
Yeah.
He came into Charleston, and we just saw that. I hate to call it let's call it a killer match. That match with him and Killer Cross, that's a staple right there. I thought Matt Riddle and Killer Cross was one of y'all's best matches, but man, what a great match, and it was so great to have it here in Charleston. Mm-hmm. How did it feel for you to see the old school and your new champion meet in the ring? And at one time, you know, Killer Cross controls a match, but with Kojima, it was very hard. So how did it feel to watch Killer Cross and Kojima in the ring?
It was a war of eras. Kojima is a founding father of the league. He's the guy that really planted his flag day one, became our first world heavyweight champion. And we just grew rapidly with Kojima. And then when he came back after 20 years in 24 and won the title again, we saw again this big surge of popularity, and just our streak of sellouts began, and it still continues 2 years to this day. So Kojima has been so transformative, so pivotal to MLW over the last 20 years. So he's also a great friend of mine. So to see him back and be in the main event here in our new hometown, Charleston, it was beautiful. The results, maybe not so much for Kojima, you know, running into one of the guys that's just a beast in Killer Cross. Great match, great what they call strong style match, where guys are just throwing those bombs and laying it in, and it was a fun match to watch. I wish I could go out in the crowd and just watch it a little bit. Sometimes I get that opportunity, just go out there and just kind of soak it in as a fan. Didn't get to on that match, but I was watching it on the monitor, and to watch it back on Fusion is awesome. It's, you know, we want to give those pay-per-view quality matches to our fans every week for free on Fusion, and that's a big part of MLW. I think a lot of people are going behind paywalls on Netflix and HBO Max, and for us, it's about giving the fans the product for free and breaking free of those subscriptions and being able to watch MLW without a paywall and give them a great show. That's pay-per-view quality. That's subscription quality without having to put out money for it.
Absolutely. And, you know, speaking of Kojima, we have to mention, if you watch Fusion and bring MLW to Charleston, you saw his tour of Charleston.
Yes.
I understand that you were there with him when everything was going on. What was the experience like for him, or watching that experience for him?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you really want to lay it out in advance. Like, here's what we're shooting today. Here's what here's the idea. Here's the concept. Then other times you're like, it's better to kind of just,
Let things
let
happen.
this parachute in, and it's a funky thing for someone because that's the experience. And Charleston's so beautiful and so unique, and he's such a big boy. He's the leader of the bread club. So I thought we could hit some real good places, do some carb loading, but also so much sightseeing here in Charleston. So I said, this is kind of a wrestling version of Charleston tourism video. Get to know our hometown and have, fish out of water experience it with Kojima. So whether he was seeing, the horse and buggies and seeing the tours that way, or going down King Street and checking out all the stores, or going out to the market and seeing that whole thing, I thought it was a lot of fun. I think we could have shot 2 more days worth of stuff. Take him to the aquarium, take him out to the Hunley, take him to the Yorktown, hit every food joint you can. We were trying to take him to Miller's all day, which if you're here in Charleston, Miller's all day. They got a lot of food. You can stay there all day and eat it. Unfortunately, when we were shooting, they were just as close. We were both devastated. We're going to have to get Kojima back just to
Of course.
check
Definitely
that
have to
out.
get him on a ghost tour. You got to get him on one of those ghost tours.
Well, Killer Cross, I believe, went on one of those ghost tours with Scarlett one of the nights. They're big into the ghost hunting thing. She has her own show, Shotzi. So they, I think, did one night, or Shotzi and Scarlett did. But again, when MLW comes to town, it's kind of like, where's Waldo? You'll see MLW wrestlers on King Street, whether it's bars or ghost tours, just hanging out, getting some fried chicken. They're out there. So you never know when it's an MLW weekend in Charleston, we make it into a weekend. There's usually a landing party the night before. We invite everyone out. Then there's the show, and that's no different this time around. We're doing a landing party on Friday at Isle of Palms at the Windjammer with the first live talking shop produced by MLW Radio with Gallows and Anderson, some eclectic guests. Don Gatto will be there, and you can get your tickets now at thewindjammer.com. That's going to be a great experience, and that's Friday night, the night before we return to Festival Hall downtown on September 12th, which you can get tickets to at MLWgo.com.
Absolutely. We were going to talk about that night. I had that queued up, ready to go when you were talking
Hey,
about
I'm a pro, man. I didn't even see a run sheet. I'm just ready. I parachute in, right? MLW style.
I'm telling you, and to go off of you spoke about Scarlett and Shotzi.
Yeah.
Over the weekend, since we're taping this, we saw Lady Frost make her debut in MLW in a triple threat match with Shotzi and with Scarlett. Oh man, what a match! And I mean, you're bringing so much great talent in, and September 12th, Charleston is coming back. Could we be seeing some more big names, debuts or anything going on?
Yeah, you're going to see some big names and some big debuts coming. Some of it's going to be a little bit of a surprise, but like I said, when we load up these shows, when we come to the Holy City, our hometown, so I guarantee you're going to see some new faces, big names. We love just continually adding to the roster and adding star power. I think that's what the fans love. They like to see the new era. They like to see star power. Try to give it to them all. And so I can tell you there's going to be at least 2 debuts, 2 big names debuting. Stay tuned and buy that ticket. It's going to be a historic night.
Well, me and you've known each other for about almost a year now, and I like to snoop a little bit, and I have some sources telling me a name that's flying around, Tessa Blanchard.
Yeah, I mean, she's been someone that's been in the mix, I think, since she became a free agent, and a lot of people have been wondering about her in MLW. I can confirm we are in talks with Tessa. That's about all I confirm at this point, but she's incredibly talented. She was actually, an interesting note on Tessa, she was supposed to actually be a part of MLW's return in 2017 after we were gone for a long time. We filmed some stuff with her and doing a training camp and everything. So we actually have footage from her way back in the day, 9 years ago, getting ready to make her MLW debut. And then some scheduling things came up, we couldn't get it done. But you never know. I mean, you think about the Blanchard name in these parts, the history, and her stepdad being the great Magnum TA, who's a wonderful human being. I love Magnum a lot. And so, she's kind of, think about MLW over the years, there's been a lot of multi-generational talent,
Right.
legacy talent. And so that's kind of something that I love to promote and present. I mean, it's what makes wrestling so special and so distinct as a sport is you have these families that carry on the legacy. You look at the Hart family, you look at all these different families, the Blanchards now, and the Von Erichs. It's such a cool part of the wrestling tradition. You don't get that really as much in other sports. Once in a while, you see that in baseball, but you don't see those big dudes, carry on the names in baseball. It's usually kind of random. It's like, you don't see the son and grandson of Babe Ruth or Ted Williams.
Right.
In wrestling, you do see a lot of the multi-generational top stars carry on the next generation, which is so cool. And you just get to kind of, it's a little nostalgic, but then it's like this new era thing because they're bringing a whole new cutting edge of arsenal to the game. And I'm really excited to see what comes of these discussions with Tessa. We'll see, but I can confirm we're in talks.
Oh, I love to hear that. And since let's stay on about the legacy of second, third generational wrestlers, with MLW, just like you're saying, y'all have hosted that from the Von Erichs to the Andersons.
Yep.
And just like you're saying, the Blanchard name is big, especially here in Charleston. A lot of people talk about the NWA. You can't, they talked about the Four Horsemen, and everyone would cheer for Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, Ole Anderson. But the moment Tully would come out, they booed the place. And it kind of is the same way with Tessa, too, Her becoming the first official big champion in a men's division, being the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, that's an accomplishment no one could ever do. Her father was never able to be a World Heavyweight Champion. And I think that's one great thing that Major League Wrestling is doing. It showcases talent that might be able to step out of the shadows of their fathers or their mothers that have been in the business. And Tessa, just like you said, kind of got it doubled. Her father being Tully, her stepfather being Magnum.
Yeah.
What two names to be, to be under.
I mean, you're right to that point. Her grandfather, Joe Blanchard, not a world champion, promoter back in the day in San Antonio, but wasn't a world champion. And, one of the things that MLW, I think, just became kind of our calling card, our recipe was Moneyball in the wrestling ring, where we look at undiscovered, undervalued talent, and we give them a platform and say, all gas, no breaks. Jacob Fatu, man, he's been around forever, and no one would show him the love. And he was a little bit of a renegade, but we found him. We found that guy and said, let's go. And for 6 years, he was our dude. And you look at all those guys that the Von Erichs had toured Noah and then just were kind of way off in Hawaii, not doing anything for a long time. These, Marshall and Ross were exceptional talent. We gave them a platform and they thrived here. And part of it is kind of decoding that talent. You give them a spotlight, but then decode what is their thing that can make them realize their potential. What's been the hold that has prevented them from reaching that, and just blow through that ceiling. And there's always a form of decoding these guys. You get there with them, and that's the part of the process I love the most. Some people call me a wrestler whisperer. Some have called me a boop boop wrestler whisperer because there's some guys that are hard to work with. And that's kind of like the old, Oakland Raiders of how you work with some of these renegades. And I love that challenge. I'm probably one myself in some ways. So it's like I'm on that wavelength and I'm on that frequency. I can understand there's a code they live by. You have to figure it out. And once you start jamming with these guys, it really becomes a fun process because the guard comes down and then you're like, oh, wow. And it's all this fun energy about what if and how do we do it and breaking it out. That's the fun part of wrestling, is that magic when you get there. I really love it.
And I had the pleasure a few months ago to actually see you in action, doing what you do. We know what I do here and behind the scenes, and I think that I'm a stressed out man, and I see you with your group, with the wrestlers, with your production team. Everyone fits in a certain position, and it's a well-oiled machine. And I seen you with the talent. I seen you talking to them, coaching them through their production, through everything, and you could see when a youngster looks at it, they're just like, oh my God, I never thought about it like that. When you're when you're helping. Let's talk about one of the great ones that y'all did, LeBron. Oh man,
Yeah.
I had the pleasure of your last show to interview him. I said, man, what a great guy. And then I see him in action. He's a big boy, but man, that
great.
lariat is something else.
I mean, I've seen two or three dudes that can hit a lariat. JBL, Hansen, and Kojima. Those guys are the guys. A lot of people try it, but no one has that impact. And you're seeing this footage now. LeBron is so explosive. He has such a cool new era offense. And I'm like, this is the guy that can be a cornerstone of MLW as part of the new generation. And that's the other thing. We give a platform to the new era guys. 2017, 18, that was MJF and Darby Allin. Yeah. They were here. MJF was a world middleweight champion here and was part of Dynasty here. And I think it's important to give that new era the platform. And again, then there's the guys that are maybe the island of misfits, and you bring them on and you decode them, and then they reach their potential and they're rocking, and that's fun too. So it's, again, you look around backstage. I love looking in that locker room, and you're seeing international talent that sell out 20,000 seat arenas like Mystico. You're seeing Killer Cross, who's globetrotting as our world champion. He's going to Asia, he's going to the Middle East as champion, and he carries that title like a top guy. And first world championship right here in MLW. That's a guy that somehow, for some reason, our competitors did not get how to spotlight and make it work. And I don't understand that, because it's so easy. He gets it. He gets it across the board. Here's the playbook. Go execute. You work it out with him, and bam, he's out there crushing it. And you look at his campaign as champion with matches with Matt Riddle, matches with Kojima, the Battle Riot. He's been amazing. And one coming up that's going to be a killer match. You can see him against Josh Bishop, a match we did in Chattanooga. That was a war. And from that match, a new star was made in Josh Bishop. When you watch him in MLW, that's a big dude, a little bit like a new era. It's like if Sid Vicious and Eddie Gilbert, you took them, put them in a lab, and this came out, it'd be Josh Bishop. He's a bad dude.
When I first met Josh in New York, for some reason I thought I was seeing Dr. David Schultz. I don't know, maybe it's because of
that's
hair.
A little bit that, yeah.
And I saw him, but then you talk to him, and just him working with Dijak, just them two together, just hearing them talk, and just oh man, what a great talent. And I'm glad you brought his name up, because now you're actually getting to see the rise of Josh Bishop as, a skyscraper, a name that, it brings legacy and legitimacy to the sport, Well, now when I think about it, he's got Sid Vicious hair.
Yeah, and it's funny, even Teddy Long bringing that up on a recent episode of MLW Fusion, which was great because he was the old school manager of the original Skyscraper. So to kind of connect all the dots and have all these people kind of like, I love that in wrestling, where you can take something that works for the fan that watched way back, something for the new fan doesn't know about it, and you can have it all work and sync up and do the little hat tip. I love that.
Absolutely, and I can't wait to see some of the other people. Oh man, her name is slipping me now. But she made Zamaya.
Yeah, she's
yes.
Another new era star that, she's got it.
Yeah.
When you just see her come out, she's got it. And it's like the old thing they used to say, all the veterans back in the day, it's like, and Vince would say it too. It's like when you walk through an airport and they turn their head, you're somebody.
Oh yeah.
And when you see Z, when you see her come out, she's got that. She's badass.
Very Bull Nakano presence.
Very much like she's like an action figure come to life, with the shoulder pad, with the spike and the hair straight up, and the just electricity. She's got charisma. She's got a great arsenal. Already Japan's interested in her, and Mexico's interested in her, and they
awesome.
should be.
Should.
And she also just, we see her work and see her fight, man. It is fun to watch. It's a fun experience.
What's one thing that's great about watching wrestling in general is, speaking with, you have your father or your brother or your best friend with you, but then what's cool is to sit and watch it with someone that you consider a mentor in the business. And when y'all were in town in April of earlier this year, I was lucky enough to be sat right next to my mentor, Mike Mooneyham. And we were watching the action, but at the same time, we were just talking about the MLW product. And everyone knows how MLW feels about Mike Mooneyham, but I don't think a lot of people know what Mike Mooneyham feels about MLW. And it was nothing but complimenting you the whole time. It's like, when we saw Z come out, we're just like, is that Bull Nakano? And it's like, but like we watched it, and it's like we're just sitting there in amazement while everyone's getting into the action. Me and Mike are just studying every single thing. And during the intermissions and everything, we sat there and we talked, and I'm just like, I can't believe what's going on. And he looked at me and he said, he calls me Adam. He said, Adam, I feel like I'm back at County Hall. And
wow,
for me, I think that's the greatest compliment ever.
Yeah.
And I hope you see that as the same way, because he's just like,
well, yeah. I mean, and for those who don't know, tell them about County Hall, what it used to mean to Charleston.
it absolutely, the NWA started here. Every Friday night, County Hall was the big thing. It became the King Street Palace.
Yeah.
But like my father grew up with County Hall. I got to go to the King Street Palace right near the end. WCW started a little bit there, but then they moved to McAllister Fieldhouse. But it's a staple. It's Madison Square Garden for Charleston. So many great things happen. And like I said, every Friday night, because everyone would watch the match. Then there's different clubs around here. I forget what some of them were called. My mom and dad would tell me them, but they would go out there to meet Ric Flair, to meet Roddy Piper. This was the scene for Dusty Rhodes. He would hold court. But like it's my place. You're a New York guy, Madison Square Garden. The Manhattan Center.
Right.
That was it for Charleston.
Yeah.
It was that, and then you had Spartanburg Auditorium. So many different places, and that's why I was so happy when MLW came. Then y'all announced y'all were, oh, we're doing a show in Center Stage, and we talked before one of our last interviews. I said, what was it like being at Center Stage? And he said you could feel the presence,
The ghosts. You can
ghost
feel it,
in the
man.
building, and
you really can.
y'all made an announcement
Yeah.
about a week or so ago.
Yep.
MLW returns to Center Stage. What is it like to go back to Center Stage?
Man, that building is designed for professional wrestling. Bottom line, it looks beautiful on camera. There's not a bad seat in the house. The wrestling, when they're throwing down in that ring, man, it just feels different. It hits different. It really feels just so the sound in that building, just everything just is perfection. And even for us, from an operational point of view, the backstage area is great. The layout of the locker rooms, the production area, it is so perfect for wrestling. Load in, load out. It is beautiful. And we have like 55-day sprint to sell tickets, and they're moving fast. So we're pumped that when we go back to October 3rd, it's going to be another packed house. We sold it out in March or February when we were there. And so we're delighted to come back and give them a great show. And it will be a Fusion TV taping. It's going to have our stars on it, some new faces on it. They'll be debuting in Charleston. So they're gonna get a great show. We don't hold back, especially when we go through Atlanta, especially when we go through Charleston. But Center Stage is a fun place because the wrestling is like center, of course, but then the crowd's right on top of it. The way it's designed, it's just like it's an old school kind of almost amphitheater where they used to be like 100 years ago, where you just look down on it like a coliseum. And it's super cool. It's just, like I said, I've sat before the doors open in different seats just to kind of get a feel for it. And there's really not a bad seat in the house. And I love we changed it up where now the wrestlers come out through tunnels. Mm-hmm. And that takes me back to the old way that Madison Square Garden used to have their shows. You watch certain WrestleManias, you'll see they came out these very narrow paths.
Yeah, right in the middle.
Fans are right over you. Sportatorium had a little bit of a different version where they started up high and would go down. This is going low and going up. But that same kind of feel where the fans can touch you, see they're coming right in over you. And I love that instead of like the big broad entrances where, it's like they can't get near you. You have all this space, it's all dead. I want them right on top of you, like the old territory days, Sportatorium days. You can touch, feel, and it's right there, man. There's no room to move.
And no hidden fact, I'm going to be there. I'm going to make sure that I'm going to be at center stage for MLW because I tried not to miss any MLW Fusion taping, because we were talking, just a few minutes ago, I was talking about me sitting in the crowd with Mike Mooneyham.
Yeah.
And there was one part of that show, which just recently aired, that I've never heard the man curse in my life. And I'm not sure that he did, but I did. I had a holy moment.
The crowd did. I heard it at the chant.
We had a conversation when we did our first big one down to our studio. We talked about Contra and the revealing of the serpent.
Yes.
Joseph Samael.
Indeed.
I have not seen that face in so long, and the lights go out, you see the fireball, and you're just like, oh no, this is it. And all of a sudden, because I'm sitting hard camera side, so he's looking right at me. And the lights come on, and I thought my father was coming after me because I just said, holy, like, I wasn't expecting that.
Right.
And when the reveal came, was it what you expected?
Oh, it was. When you think back on, the introduction of the serpent around January and a very slow beating of that war drum to this moment. And I saw stuff online, theories of who it was and stuff. And it's like, it's interesting. And then when the lights go up and you see that sinister smile and that beard and that cackle, and there's only one guy, it's a fireball like that.
Yeah.
It's goosebumps, and then it's also terrorizing because it's Joseph Samael, who was the kingpin of Contra, and when it crashed one of our shows in 2019 live on the air. Tom Lawler just finished a title fight in Chicago in a steel cage, and basically the same thing. Contra just comes out of nowhere, attacks Tom Lawler. Jacob Fatu, one of the members of Contra at that time, leaps from the top of the cage as Joseph Samael is using a spike on Tom. I mean, it is insane. They've nearly caused riots. They are just dangerous dudes. So, I think their return to form with Joseph Samael is going to be some interesting TV for MLW fans, MLW Nation, when they watch Fusion every week now.
And I think his insurgents, Contra it already was legitimate, but now him being there and leading this group of militant men brings legitimacy and actually can bring some terror to MLW. At one time they were focusing on the World Heavyweight Championship. Kruger wins that. Then he says all he wants to do is focus on being the champion. And next thing I know, we get the Battle Riot. He's eliminated. And you see this monstrosity of a man take him out. And I remember asking you, who is this man? It's like, oh, you'll find out. And we sure enough found out who this man was. And just, it has Contra has a very old feel that wrestling has not had in a long time. It instills fear, but at the same time, it doesn't push the audience away. It intrigues them. What's going to happen next? Because he made his return 2 weeks ago from this taping. And then last week, all you had to put up, we will hear from Joseph Samael. And so, you're like, you know what? I'm watching it. I'm ready to get through the matches. I love the matches, but I'm like, I want to hear what he has to say. What is he going to say? And then you give us in a minute 30, maybe 2 minute clip, very short. And I love that feel. I love, because now I'm like, well, what's next? It's not long drawn out. And it was compared to the NWO schemes that he used to do, where Hogan wanted to go through the whole Kevin Nash made a comment. Hogan wanted to do the whole brother, do this whole thing. But it was just, they just chopped it up.
Yeah.
Did you get inspiration from that, or is this something you just you came up with yourself?
No, I was watching a movie, and it was a war movie, and it was about a terrorist and propaganda. And that was so much of the inspiration for that was the character and using media to put out terror message, put out propaganda in weird, antagonizing and threatening ways, and foreshadowing things, and using, social upheaval in different third world countries, and then crashing that into the imagery. I was like, that is so distinct. And like, I think it's important sometimes to tap into the wrestling fandom and what you grew up with, what inspired you, and as you're a student of the game, finding stuff, but also you don't want to clone it. So you want to kind of look around for more of your array of colors on your palette to work with. So I look at sometimes movies, I look at books and stuff, and Contra is a little blend of wrestling stuff and then, stuff I've seen over the years in film and sadly and tragically also in TV. I think, wrestling is so much threaded into the fabric of pop culture and Americana, and there's so much you can pull from. You want to be certain, you take certain liberties with things. You want to be sensitive to certain things because it's a little too hot to touch right now. And you always, kind of figure out what's that, when is it appropriate to touch it. And that just takes trial and error. Sometimes you get it right, and sometimes you don't. But with this, it feels like, first of all, it's like Contra without him feels like it's like Darth Vader not being there, and you just have the stormtroopers. Now you got Darth Vader back. Whoa, that's just an ominous presence, and now the stakes are richer, bigger, and from what I'm told, there's some big dogs coming from within Contra. So we'll see who those dudes are, but when Joseph Samael puts together a crew of soldiers, and as he calls them, crusaders, they know how to wreck shop. And so stay tuned. I think Contra's going to get only more interesting and probably bigger and scarier.
Absolutely. You speaking of Tom Lawler.
Yeah.
There's a certain man that Tom Lawler really is not a big fan of, and I learned that one the hard way. In my recent interview with him a few months back, I talked about certain MLW superstars. And I brought up about one particular one and asked him his feelings on the TV show Cobra Kai. And he kind of looked at me, and I asked him twice, and Tom Lawler looked like he was about to choke me out when I asked that. But the reason that I bring that up, because there's a certain superstar that's on MLW's roster that I've been hoping to see live, but he hasn't hit Charleston yet. Paul Walker Hausen. Are we ever going to get him in Charleston? Is he ever want to come to Charleston? He doesn't like Charleston. What's going on?
Well, I just actually got a text from Paul Walter Hauser, and he said, yes, he is in for September 12th. He's going to be making finally his Charleston debut. He wasn't able to do it last November. He wasn't able to do it in April. He was filming movies. He literally told a movie he's filming, I need a few days off. I need to get out there to Charleston. I need to make this happen. And so he'll be in town, he'll be rocking with us, and he'll be in action. I'm really pumped. He's got his license set up. You have to get a license when you compete in the state of South Carolina. He's got his wrestling license. He's in training, and he's going to be ready to rock and roll. So I'm really pumped. He loves Southern wrestling. He lives in Georgia. He's wanted to be a part of this for a long time, and he's finally going to make it happen here, and we're pumped to have him. And I think Charleston's going to love Hauser, or maybe hate him, and he might be okay with that too.
I was going back, from time to time I go back and look at old pay-per-views, and I went back and watched Battle Riot. Him and Paul London, just going back and forth, and just that random, just him doing that flip right into that table, and I'm just like, and he's a movie star. Like, he didn't grow up in this business. He came from the outside world, which a lot of wrestling fans don't really appreciate that too much. There's some that have been successful from doing it, but it's just so, from what I've heard and seen in interviews, he dives into that wrestling culture. He's a wrestler that does movies, it kind of sort of a way.
Yeah.
So with him being part of the MLW team, being part of the roster, what has it done for Major League Wrestling?
Well, he's been fantastic because behind the scenes, he loves to shoot and produce some of our pre-tapes. He takes, when he looks at our shows episodically, when we have run sheets and he'll look at it through the eye of a storyteller, a filmmaker, with that cinematic eye, and he'll add a certain detail and polish to it, which is an outside perspective that we don't see, that he sees, and that makes it unique. It makes it different. And maybe he'll hone in on someone's journey, someone's story, and say, what if we tried it this way? Or I thought you were going in this direction. And we're like, we never thought about that. And so he'll help us see things a little differently, which I think is really helpful because he's also been in the ring. He gets it from both sides. And, he looks at wrestling and he has such an affinity for it. He was in Fantastic Four last summer. He was in The Naked Gun. He's going to be in the new Resident Evil movie. He has an incredible career, and he's super grateful for it. But he's super grateful for pro wrestling. He sees himself as wanting to be the reverse Dwayne Johnson, leverage his film career to go into wrestling and be a star in wrestling. I mean, he just has so much love for it. Battle Riot is a great example. We had one in LA 2 years ago. With some folks from different studios, Hulu and other places in the crowd watching the show, seeing Hauser, and he gets on a ladder and he flies off the ladder through a table, and in the process, I believe breaks a rib and busts and literally has a massive contusion on his, and I mean, really bad. And he was in bad shape, and he got back in there and kept going. A lot of people, even people that have, paid their dues and busted their ass for years of wrestling, would have probably laid out. He went back in there and killed it, and then next day was out there promoting MLW and boosting people up in the company, letting people know on a national stage who these guys are, their new era guys, which is incredible for our locker room. So, he's a big believer in MLW, and he has to then tell these studios that tell him not to wrestle. It's like, yeah, you're going to have to kind of deal with that because I know what I'm doing out there, but also I love this, and this is what you get when you get me. You're going to get that, which also makes him very unique because this is a guy that's won Emmys, won Golden Globes, played Richard Jewell for Eastwood. He's an exceptional actor. You see him in I, Tonya. He can do comedy. He can do just about anything. Blackbird was great on Apple TV. You see him when that bell rings, he's a different cat.
It's when you step in that ring, from the first moment you take a bump, you're built for doing this. And some people thrive and some people don't. If you go to some independent shows, you see some people who love the business, but the business doesn't love them, if that makes sense. It's like some people can do it, some people can't. And we've seen that with movie stars that have done that. And, Paul is just showing exactly what he can do. You spoke about Battle Riot in LA. I used that footage of him jumping off the ladder so many different times. It pops up. That the first video y'all ever sent me was from him jumping off that.
He took some lumps literally for that one. So you got to show that off. I mean, we'd be foolish if we didn't, especially given that. But it's a killer, crazy thing he did out there, and it says a lot. I mean, that's what you see at MLW. But also to see someone like Hauser rumbling out there like that's insane.
I'm gonna spin this just a little bit because I want to put people's name out there that really a lot of people don't know. You're head of production, Alex. I had the chance to meet with him and see the way that he works, and I got lost in just watching what he does. I'm supposed to be running, doing other things, but I'm standing there and I'm watching those pre-tapes and I'm watching what he does. And the love that he has, what is Alex Greeny, as we like to call him, what is he meant for Major League Wrestling?
Yeah, so just to correct you, he's not the head of production. He's an executive producer for us. So he's involved on the creative end. He does a lot of the pre-tapes. He's sitting in there mapping out the shows, working on building the shows you guys watch called Fusion. So I've known Greeny for now 21 years. We started within a few months of each other at WWE as creative executives, up there at the Onyx Black Titan Towers in Stamford, Connecticut. And, we became fast friends, best friends, friends for life. And we worked on projects in wrestling, outside of wrestling. We've worked on stuff in MMA. We've done stuff with Showtime. We've done a lot of stuff together, and we've written screenplays that never got sold. We've just about done it all. And we kind of like know what the other's going to say and do before the other. We just read each other's minds. We have a shorthand. So it's been great because he has ironically now spent more of his career in MLW than anywhere else. And when we first met, we identified each other through our WWE time, and now it's like, well, it's now the MLW thing that really you think about all these years together. And he's a great collaborator. He gets the Moneyball thing we do with finding underutilized, undervalued, and undiscovered talent, and give them that platform, and the incredible feeling you get when that light bulb goes off or that spotlight hits them and they just thrive. And so, yeah, he works his ass off. He's the hardest working guy out there. He just kills. And he's running around there making sure everything looks good for our fans, for the fans at home watching later on. He is, again, all gas, no brakes, and that's kind of how we do it here. But he's got such a great sense for the business. He grew up in Georgia, loved watching Mid-South, loved watching TBS wrestling when he was a child, and then, was sitting next to Dusty Rhodes and Ted DiBiase on the WWE creative team. And, he just has such amount of knowledge and passion for the business, and is not a yes man. I mean, I saw him go nose to nose with Vince McMahon more days than not. There was once a pull apart where Dusty Rhodes and I had to drag. Dusty pulled Michael Hayes to the back. I pulled Greeny to the back because they were about to go at it. And if I had to put money on, I think Greeny would have taken him in a street fight, just saying. But
he looks scrappy.
He's scrappy, and he gets fired up, man. I mean, he does not hold back. But he is a big part of the heartbeat of what makes MLW run. And so we're just incredibly, he's one of my partners in crime. We have such a great team. Guys like Biff Lawson, who's an amazing collaborator too behind the scenes. We keep a lot of that stuff behind the curtain, but I want to give those guys love because they are a big part of this. Joe Khabib as well is just an incredible collaborator and a guy that's similar to me, which I don't know is often a good thing, but also it's once you realize how close and personalities and how you vibe and what you look at and how you look at the business, you that passion when channeled, it's great. And so, we took this year and we really revamped a lot of the company, the front office, a lot of it changed. And only a few guys were left. We just finished up, actually, we have a new production team starting with us soon. And in Charleston, it's like I went kind of division by division and saying, okay, what do we need to do? Is the task at hand being done, or does it need to be done better? And so we're really delighted with where the league is at now, and the culture behind the scenes in the locker room is so important, and I really love it now. You go in and like Matt Riddle's holding court and just eating pizza and just everyone's laughing, and it's just really laid back. It's a beautiful thing. It's a family. Everyone's just loose and relaxed and happy to be there and having a great time. And then you see it in the production, you see it in the staff, the front office. Everyone's just have this idea and they're vibing with talent about it. And you can just, when I walk into the building and you feel that energy, you're like, man, this place is already humming. It feels great. Yeah. And when there's that, I've been there in places, whether it's MLW or elsewhere, you walk in a building, it feels a little weird, it feels a little icy, a little funky. I haven't felt that in a long time here, and that's because of the guys I just mentioned. They have really helped set the culture and made this place feel so good and so special. And this run is so meaningful and memorable. And this year, and since we moved to Charleston, it's marked a new chapter where it really feels like MLW has ascended. And because I have this new front office, I'm allowed, it's freed up my bandwidth now to go out there and do deals. And those deals take a long time to gestate, to get from meeting one to putting your signature on the end of a contract. And this whole year, we've been about those goals and getting some of these meaningful deals done. And so those are deals that we're hoping to share soon. I don't want to tease, but it's just, it's allowed me to, get into what my job should be, is building this company, growing it, scaling it, so we can give the fans more, we can give the talent more, we can give MLW Nation more.
Absolutely. And first off, I want to say this on tape. Thank you for bringing me in. I've absolutely, I've only done one tour with you
Yeah.
so far, but man, I still just say tell everyone that I meet about my experience because I've had 17 years in the wrestling business and seeing it from that side was just well, I mean, I've ran my own shows, but to be on that big scale, I'm gonna be honest. When I got on that flight, I didn't know what to expect. I knew what my job was. I knew what I was going to do, and I was going to do it to the best of my ability. And the moment that I walked in, all that was gone. It just like you said, you walked in, you just felt like everyone was just one machine working together. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what it was, from meeting Mike when I first walked through the door, getting everything set up, getting everything ready for y'all. Greeny showing up, telling me his vision of what he wanted and what your vision was going to be. And I made that possible. Being able to sit down with him with the few minutes that we did have, picking his brain, and Rich picking his brain.
Yeah, awesome. Rich is awesome. Mike is awesome. Two guys that deserve a shout out too. And like these guys, Rich rejoining the company this year, he's been so incredible. And Mike's been with us for a few years, but yeah, that's the culture you want. It's kind of like building a sports team in the front office and trickling down to the locker room. And every level of operations, you want to set the tone for culture. And we did a real reset on that culture. We moved to Charleston. The whole tone changed, and you feel it. And I think it's a welcoming, really inviting place for everyone just to go out there and go chase your dreams, go crush it, and everyone's there to help support and build that together. We're building it together, which is, wrestling a lot of times is elbowing everyone out of the way. Here we're building this together. Come on in, let's build.
And one of the other things that's being talked about now is, MLW's always been spoken as not really an outsider group, but like it's always been on the whisper of being with the WWE and AEW. But now y'all have kicked that door down. It's like y'all are now in the conversation, with the partnership with New Japan, with CMLL, y'all finally have kicked it down, and a lot of the top stars, just like we spoke earlier, have came through MLW, just like you said, MJF, Jacob Fatu, I just so happened, I popped in a documentary. Raven's documentary is on Tubi, and I'm just sitting there and I'm just watching. And I was like, oh, they're at the 2300 arena. Oh, okay, that's cool. I know him. I'm just like, and I'm just sitting there with my girlfriend going, well, there's Court, there's Green, there's Jacob, and they're like, oh my goodness, and they got to see that process. What a great documentary, though. But I wanted to bring it up and say, hey, I saw you recently.
Yeah.
But being in that conversation now, do you feel like it's your just dues? Like you put in that work, and it's like you should be in that same conversation, or you're just like, I'm just doing what I love to do.
I don't care, I guess, about that. Never really have. Like, there are people, I've had guys, even guys I used to look up to, like, they will obsessively track what people are saying about them and try to shape the narrative, and then we'll have burner accounts and say, well, no, or get on some message boards. I'm not on social media. I wouldn't go to a message board because I'd probably put a gun in my mouth. My God, it can be depressing and really weird there. But, for me, it's just like, it's the task at hand. And what's the bottom line? Are we getting it done? And continue, like I said, we're building something. Let's build. And the definition of success is you either get it done or you don't. If you get it done, success. Whether it's it's the task at hand, sell out the show, get that deal done. Did you get done or not? And then if it gets done and you're doing your job, it all work out. You can, these guys will be up till 5 a.m. trying to shape narratives about how awesome they are. It's like, I don't really care, man. The proof's in the pudding. And if you get done, you get it done, and the larger fan base appreciates it. Whoever is going to get it or not. You're either commercially viable or you're not. And this year, it's been super important for us. It's been getting those deals done. Got a great deal with Live Nation as a partner now. Great when it comes to arenas. Great when it comes to ticketing. Great when it comes to now merchandising. Great when it comes to marketing. That's starting to we're right now about to deploy a lot of that stuff. That takes time to, launch, get the deal done, then announce it. Now you deploy and launch. Then you got the Panini deal, which is putting us in Walmart, Target, online, and that's been a huge hit, huge success for them, for us too, for our talent. It's been amazing licensing opportunity for royalties and beyond. And then there's some other deals we're now getting done that have been super critical to the company, and how you're going to see MLW, how you can watch it domestically and abroad. And so it's just continuing to stack those deals to build the company, to build the foundation, to build stability, and I don't do a lot of interviews. I do this one, I do a few, I can count them on one hand. And because I want to have meaningful conversations, but also when I talk, I want to have meaning to it. I just don't want to put it out there and be some self-aggrandizing guy, take credit for all this. I don't care about credit. Never have, never will. Am I accomplishing the task at hand or not? We'll find out.
And we'll definitely find out. And just like you said, the proof is in the pudding. September 11th and 12th, MLW takes over Charleston again. So, Fightland.
Mm-hmm.
That weekend is going to be awesome. And we start that weekend off with the Good Brothers. If you hadn't had a chance to sit down to talk to Gallows and Anderson, you don't know what you're missing. I'm hoping that we get a Howard Finkel impression. I hope, you could sit down and you just talk to them in passing, and you're just laughing the whole time. I spent 3 minutes with them for an interview when y'all first came to Charleston, and I'm just dying laughing the whole time. Maybe we get another Festus impersonation.
I just actually saw the first Festus t-shirt this morning on my way into the studio today. I looked at it at the red light and went, oh my goodness. I was at a pullover. I'm with Festus is dropping soon, and hopefully it's a hot seller, but it definitely popped Gallows and myself. So, that's the whole thing. When Talking Shop started, like 2014, 2015, when we had just the MLW Radio Network, it was really just a group chat and everyone just making jokes. And then they were just bored in a hotel room in Japan and said, well, we just record this. They had a case of beer and just start talking. And it was about being on the road, the bond of being in this business, the absurdity of some things, the way you entertain yourself. And I was like, this is a great podcast, guys. Let's just make this work. Let's do a podcast. And to see now this come full circle, to do a live show at the Windjammer, which is, for those not in the Low Country, you got to check out the Windjammer. It is this awesome place that's literally on the beach on Isle of Palms, and it's like a concert venue. You can see the water behind you. It is a vibe. And have these dudes roll up. Starts at 7 p.m. They'll do about an hour, so get there early, and then they'll do some meet and greets after that. They'll sell some merch, of course. They're already planning all sorts of craziness. It'll be a blast and the perfect way to kick off the weekend. Don Gatto will be there. His tequila will be there.
I was about to ask, are we going to see a Don Gatto appearance?
Yeah, I don't know if he'll have the samurai sword, but he'll be there. We'll see who's documenting his and chronicling it. But Don Gatto will be there, the legend himself, and then that will then take us to Saturday night, MLW Fightland. Tickets go for as low as $10. We want anyone and everyone to be able to get in there. But these shows have sold out. This one is selling fast, so go to MLWgo.com, get those tickets now. Just a handful are left if you look on the map. So Festival Hall will be probably sold out soon, so punch your ticket.
They sell out quick. I mean, their first show here, I had one of your former stars here, and we're about to talk about, tickets are still... Nope, like live on the air. We're like, oh no, they're all sold out.
Bam.
You announced it while we were doing our show. And I mean, it's just so great. So we confirmed that Paul Walker Hauser is coming that weekend. Yes, sir. Is there anyone else that you can confirm that'll be there? Are we going to get a Killer Cross?
Killer Cross will be there. Mystico will be there. Matt Riddle will be there. Austin Aries, the Good Brothers, the Glasgow Boys, Trevor Lee, the Southern Crown champion. Contra Unit will probably somehow try to invade. It's going to be a stacked card. Tons of guys from CML Lucha in Mexico will be there. It's going to be, you got Shotzi, you got Lady Frost. You have some new era women coming from like Jazzy Yang, who's the daughter of Jimmy Yang. Again, another multi-generational talent.
Okay.
Yeah. We have TikTok influencer Corrine Joy, who has over 1 million followers on TikTok. She'll be wrestling. It's going to be a who's who on this one. Diego Hill, we have LeBron, of course, rolling up. So and then our new super heavyweights, Jumbo, who's a walking condominium. If you've ever seen this guy, big hombre, he'll be in the house. And that guy is one of the new breakout stars. Charleston hasn't seen him yet, but when you see him, the most infectious babyface smile probably I've ever seen. And the dude is huge. He is 400 pounds, like 6'10", and he can rumble. He is not slow and plodding. This guy does some crazy stuff. And I'll give you another exclusive. One of our new signees from the Carolinas, Flip Sequoia, will be in the house. We just signed him. He's a great
nice
talent. We're thrilled to have him here, and so that's an exclusive for you to have. But Flip will be in the house. We're excited for him to be officially part of the MLW fam.
And where can fans get tickets if they have not gotten them yet?
MLWGo.com. $10 at MLWGo.com or Eventbrite. But that's the way to get those tickets. It will be a Fusion TV taping. So come on, guys, bring those signs. I like crazy signs, like weird signs. We went to Charleston Music Hall. People would dress up wearing costumes. So bring your Ric Flair robes, bring your Don Gatto mask, your Mystico mask. Rocket, Mystico love seeing fans with their masks on. So it's a great time, guys. MLWGo.com. Get your ticket. We're about a month out, and we got a handful of tickets left. So go get
Festival
yours.
Hall is a great venue. I mean, there's not a bad seat in that place.
Fun place.
Nowhere in that building you cannot be on camera, because everyone that has went to that last show has told me, oh man, I showed up. I called my buddies because I'm watching Fusion. I said, by the way, you're back on the air again. What was I doing? You're actually taking a drink of soda at the time, or you're waving your shirt.
Yeah.
I mean, the crazier you are, the more good chance you're going to be on camera.
And what's so wild is so much of the College of Charleston comes out to those shows. We saw the first one, the second one, we had a whole row of sorority girls in the front row that were like, wow. I'm like, what is this? This is a new thing. How do we catch on there? But for whatever reason, we caught on, I think, in November with the College of Charleston gang, and then they couldn't get a lot of tickets. They came out, I guess, the second show. So it's takes me back to WCW. They used to do those college campus things where they'd get a lot of college kids to come out when they did spring break things, and they really tapped into the college fan. I haven't seen that college fan in like 25 years at a wrestling show. Saw them in Charleston, which, hey, shout out to College of Charleston. They brought it, man.
Absolutely. And that weekend also is a great one because the Citadel plays CSU. College of Charleston is going to be in town. So it's going to be a college town flood coming in. Well, Court, you know, me and you, we can talk for hours upon hours, but we've almost done an hour. So, Court, once again, thank you for joining me. We love the fact that we're one of your interviews that you love stopping by. The News 2 family loves you. Thanks for joining us, and we're going to bring you back after the September show to talk about more. Tickets are on sale. Get them now. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Everyone, thank you for joining us this week, and we'll see you next time.